you were so young to process it, so first you process it as a kid, and then you move on and
Right.
adult wisdom.
And also,
see
when I
different
got
things.
older, I started asking her a lot more questions. Like, I was in the hospital, you know, and getting counseling, psychiatric counseling, and of course, I needed to ask her the questions. And, you know, so when you get older, and at least in my case, you try and deal with it by asking questions. Like, you try and process it. Why did this happen? Because at the time, you know, I couldn't. As you say, you're a kid, you just need to get through the day. You can't ask an adult why they did something, because that's not what kids do. um, well, I kind of think in my elementary school years, it didn't affect me too much. I mean, like, I was able to, you know, be in school and get A's and B's and do all the things I was supposed to be doing, like, you know, going to Girl Scouts and church and all that. I really think when it started to affect me, the divorce process started when I was 11 or 12. And then we lived with my grandma for a year, and we got an apartment. And then you're a teenager, and you have all those hormones and stuff going on anyway. And I had like all this on top of it. So I really think I acted out a lot with my sexuality. I didn't know how to have good relationships, even with my girlfriends. You know, I kind of became very introverted. And then my mom got remarried, and we moved to a different school district, and there I was in 9th grade knowing nobody. And, you know, by darn, I wasn't going to make any friends because they were going to know I was weird because of all this. And so that was like the icing on the cake as far as the teenage years. And I acted out, you know, sexually, and I think with alcohol, and probably a lot more than my mom ever even knew, but I don't know if that's typical or not. But even into my early 20s, you know, with alcohol and all that, and I just don't know how to relate to people in a normal, like, healthy way. I had an abusive marriage, a couple abusive relationships, until when I was about 29 or 30, I met my second husband, and that finally was a semi-decent relationship. And now I'm married again because he had passed away. So I really feel that this relationship it's finally all working out, as far as me being able to communicate and say my wants and needs, and not just accepting what other people think is good for me. But it's been really hard, as I said, even like in employment and all that. Like, I have a couple diagnoses from the psychiatric community, and now that I realize I have certain predispositions to things, it's like it's even hard for me to I used to work for a government agency, and just I really have a hard time with people telling me what to do. Even though I like rules, it's almost like I can go either that you have to like follow the rules 100% to the letter, or why have a rule at all. I'm very black and white. It's really hard for me to have a shade of gray, and it's really hard for me to get along with people because I'm always like, what are they up to? I'm very suspicious. I'm very hyper vigilant. And that doesn't make for, you know, good relationships. So it's as I said, you know, it's even impacted, I think, my life as a mother. I have a son, and now he's 9 years old now. So right around the time that he was 4 or 5, I started, I feel, being very overly cautious about a lot of things, more so than I might have been had this never happened. And he's getting a little older now, and he can speak for himself. So I think I'm feeling a little better with that. But it's like I say, it's just almost like my whole life. It's just kind of amazing how that all works with someone's mind.
Yeah. Just really impacted everything.
To me, it did. I mean, I can't say there's one aspect of my life it probably didn't impact.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, and I don't think people realize it. And I also think, and I can only speak for myself, but being my situation and that was a family member, you know, a parent that you're supposed to trust and love, and it happened multiple times over multiple years, I think that also has an impact, as if maybe it happens once or twice and then the person gets counseling and gets taken care of right away. I mean, I really think that has a lot to do with how it's impacted me.
Gosh, I really commend you for, like, you must have come so far, and you have such a insight on what's going on. It's just a matter of
Well, that's because my brain never shuts off.
Really?
I mean, I was at a point, you know, I've been in counseling off and on over the years. And as I said, my second husband passed away about 7 years ago, and then I went to grief counseling, and then, you know, I started to get in the mode where I was dating and I was getting into the bad relationship mode. I don't think I actually made it there, but something was off, and I'm like, I can't, this isn't right. And I went back to counseling, and honestly, it just seems like now that I'm married again and now I have my son, I'm at a different place in life, it seemed like, honestly, I told myself, I can't deal with this, you know, shit anymore. It's not worth it. I can't live my life. I'm not happy. So I need to, as they say, do the work. Even though I felt like I kind of did the work before, but I kind of did just enough to make it through a couple years, and then I whacked out again, as I call it. So I just think this time I'm really a lot more committed to getting healthier, because, as I say, it's not just me on my own. I have my son, and what's going to happen to him if I'm not healthy? You know? I can't. I want him to have a healthy parent, because I didn't have healthy parents. So I think that's a lot of it also.
Kind of dangling that hope carrot out there a little bit. You're making me cry.
Yeah, I mean, and also I think I'm on the right medication. I think that does help. You know, I think my doctor there has really worked with me to try and get that all worked out, and what's going to help me the best there too, you know, for my depression.
Yeah.
So it's everything together for me. If you know, it's kind of 3 or 4 pieces of that puzzle, and if it all needs to work together, and it's working, and I'm so glad. I don't think anyone should be ashamed of getting help, because it's not their fault. You know, no matter what the circumstances. I think, you know, I feel, and a lot of people, you know, I've talked through, feel that they're not strong, that they're weak. And I think it's totally opposite, because if you weren't strong, you wouldn't still be here. You wouldn't still be fighting. You wouldn't be going to counseling. You wouldn't be going to a support group. You wouldn't be trying to get help. So just draw on that inner strength, and even when you feel like a day where you're at a 0, you have strength, and that's what gets me through, is my strength. Just like a weight's off my shoulder, really.
Good.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm crying and all that, and that's okay. I'll go home and do that a little more, I'm sure, but But it's very free.
Yeah.
No, in a way, it's very cathartic. Is that the word? I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Or
but you-
cathartic.
Cathartic. That's what I mean. And it's when Pam told me about this, and I'm like, now you can think about it, she said, and I said, no, I want to do it because if this helps, like, one person,
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, not that I'm not going to go to group and that anymore, but I feel like I'm at 90% of my goals of where I want to be in my healing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's time to pay it forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what's interesting?
So, you know, even though I do feel kind of like shitty right now, I'll be okay in a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because the people that have responded were like you. I thought, like, I did the same thing. Like, you can take time. Like, yes, I'm doing it. And I was.
It just.
It's interesting.
And I have to tell you, it came in a very strange time. I had a very strange week last week, and it's almost like the phone call came for a reason.
Mhm.
I believe in that stuff. I'm not going to get all like psychic and all that on you guys, but things happen for a reason, and that's just what it. My name is Angela, and this is what a survivor sounds like.